Let's go, girl.
In 1985, Trinidad and Tobago became a signatory of the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This treaty was ratified in 1990. Founder and director of CEDAW's Trinidad and Tobago Committee, Terry Yin, says the convention is to allow the state to assist in putting in place required institutional framework to ensure equality for all. And while Trinidad and Tobago has come a long way, Ms. Yin says there's much more to be done.
The appropriate policies and frameworks, etc., was put in place so that women has an equal shot at everything. It also says that the then government saw the need to be a part of the global the movement, because this is something that we weren't the only country that did. We were the first in the region. So we really have been, and Trinidad and Tobago that is, have been really setting the pace in terms of women's equality, women signing on to these types of treaty bodies in the Caribbean, in the region.
CEDAW requires each country to submit national reports at least every 4 years on measures they have taken to comply within the treaty obligations. The last time this country fulfilled that request was in 2016 and 2002. Here's some insight into the United Nations recommendations.
Women and girls in rural communities, how are we managing that? Women and girls who are marginalized, what have we put in place, and demonstrate or show us, document what has been done, to ensure that they're educated, that their health needs are met, that their housing needs are met, that women and girls are able to acquire land on their own.
With a call to press for progress, Ms. Yin says women are at a crossroads.
We're not well represented in places where we should be represented. We're not the decision makers. That's not meant to say that we should always be the decision makers. It is, what I'm suggesting is that while women are in places, women aren't really at the table making decisions. The women aren't, even when we're at the table, the manner in which decisions are made are not with female inequality in mind.
She believes there should be more representation.
There's a very large female population in the classrooms. When you look at who's graduating from, whether it's primary school, secondary school, university levels, preponderance of women. Any office space you walk into, preponderance of women. So the idea is, oh wow, women are doing great. But we're not. Because we still see that women are not being the decision makers. Women are not leading industries. Yes, there are some.
Here she gives feedback as to what women need to do.
We feel that gender justice is one of the things that we are sorely lacking in Trinidad and Tobago on many levels. And so we're suggesting that we can no longer wait for it to happen for us. We have to make it happen. So what does that mean? We have to take action. We talk a lot. We advocate a lot. Maybe we sometimes march. We write a lot. But we don't make the next step. We don't do the things that's necessary to make that change happen.
With movements like Me Too and Time's Up, which speak to sexual harassment in the workplace, Ms. Yin says this country has not openly taken a stance.
This is your livelihood we're talking about. Women and men, they don't want to lose their jobs. We're in a down economy. So who's going to stand up and say my boss did X or Y and run the risk of not being listened to, not being heard? And even if you get those two things, then you'll be penalized. And you won't only be penalized potentially by losing your job, but you'll be ostracized by your family sometimes, by your community. And this is a small country.
She's calling for victims of this type of abuse to raise their voice.
I'm not surprised that it hasn't taken hold. I would suggest, however, that Me Too is deeply rooted in Trinidad and Tobago. I think there are a lot of Me Too's in Trinidad and Tobago. We're just not speaking on it because we're not brave enough to do it. And I think when we get brave enough, and it's not just women, it's men as well, when the few brave people who can speak on it honestly, because I don't want anyone to suggest that you just go out and say, yes, this happened to me, and it's not credible. But when it happens, when those brave, credible speakers stand up, I think you will see an avalanche.
On March 8th, Trinidad and Tobago celebrated 60 years of the International Women's Day movement. Marie Hall, CNews.